This is my very first guitar. It's a 2001 Squier Bullet that I bought in 2001, October 2nd to be exact. I was 15 years old and it cost $90. But it didn't always look like this. I painted it this lime green color in 2002 and I did an absolutely terrible job. It might look okay from the surface, but if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see it's one coat of paint. It's super thin, it's terribly done. There's no finish on it. There was no primer under it. And also when I took it apart to paint it, I couldn't put it back together. I don't have a picture of what the guitar looked like originally, and it's hard to find it online because on the surface, it's such an uninteresting guitar. It's just a starter Squier. So I actually did find a picture from a listing online of another 2001 Squier Bullet. This was the original color when I got the guitar. It's very pretty, but the finish is very thin, and it only took a couple months before I started getting chips and cracks in mine, and that's why I wanted to refinish it. Super into ska music in 2002, so lime green was the way to go. And step one is just to sand off all of that terrible green paint that I put on there 20 years ago. I actually didn't know I was gonna make a video about this when I started refinishing the guitar, so I only have a few photos of it, but this is after I sanded everything down to just the wood. It's just a plywood guitar, so even staining the grain wouldn't really look that good because it's just all these pieces of plywood glued together. And once I had the whole thing sanded, the next step was to prime it, so just putting on 9 layers of primer, so that way I would then be ready to put some lime green paint on it. And I did decide to stick with lime green because that is what I originally wanted when I was 16 and I painted it in 2002. So what I'm using is this. It's for cars, fast drying primer, and I just got a white one. The actual color is gonna be this kind of lime green right here, and then it's gonna have a clear coat on top of it. This is my Glide Gear overhead rig. I just taped it up to not get paint on it. And then this is a Nanlite mount for Pavo tubes. And then this is actually one of the Nanlite metal cables for Pavo tubes, and it's just going through the neck mount on the guitar. And there we go. And so pretty much what I'm doing is just putting a layer of primer, waiting like 20 minutes for it to dry, another one. I've been doing 3 of those a day. This is the 3rd day. It's been a week and I'm finally able to paint again. We had cold, windy weather, and then I ran out of paint and it took a long time to get that shipped out, and then it got delayed because of weather in other places. So I have 6 coats of green. I need to do 3 more coats, and then I can start the clear coat, like the lacquer. But I'm lacking lacquer because they sent me the wrong ones, so they have to send more. But anyway, I can do more green today. In the time I was waiting to paint, I was actually able to wire up this part, which is really the guitar. So this is all new. I have the original pick guard and components here, which these are just very cheap little pickups that don't work that well anymore. And they're not great. This I'm gonna keep as a keepsake. And then this is all new. So I got a new pick guard. I put copper tape on the back of it. I got really nice pickups. So everything is Seymour Duncan. These are just standard Strat pickups. And then this one is, I think it's a Hot Rails. Basically, it's supposed to be the output of a humbucker in a single coil pickup. And I got, a blue pickup cover and these colored knobs and things, and everything works. I was going to film it, but it got so complicated that I knew if I filmed it while trying to do it, I would mess up. But basically I got all 3 pickups wired into the 5-way selector, the volume and the tone pots. These are grounded, and then they go out to the input jack. And the reason it was hard to get the paints is because I've been using these Montana Gold, but it's hard to find this one. It's acrylic, but it's NC acrylic, so nitrocellulose acrylic, which means it's not really made for something like a guitar, but in this case, I can use it for something like a guitar. Here's an old sign I made when I was a sign artist at Trader Joe's, like, I don't know, I think I made this in 2008. A lot of the signs we did were done with these paints because they're made for like large graffiti and murals and those kinds of things. Done with 9 layers of green. And as you can see, it's kind of splotchy and strange. So now what I need to do before I put lacquer on it is sand it. So it's now been a few more days. I finally have this spray lacquer. So this is the first 2 coats. I have 1 more coat today, overnight, then 3 more coats tomorrow, overnight, 3 more coats the next day. but it's already getting pretty smooth. This now has 17 coats of lacquer on it, and you can see it's already looking really shiny, and it's pretty thick. I don't know if I can show it, but there is sort of that orange peel texture, which as far as I know is pretty normal. And then when I do the wet sanding and the polishing, it will get rid of that. But it came out pretty darn good. One day later, and now it's time to wet sand this, which I'm scared of because I know that part of the process is to make it look worse during sanding. So the guitar looks pretty good, and then it's gonna look worse, and then it'll look better. So I've made progress now with all the different sandpapers, and I still need to finish it because you can see there's scratches and stuff that I need to get rid of. But it's so smooth, it's ridiculous. And then back here, I tried on this little horn up here, I tried sanding as best I could, and then I even used this little pad and some of this polish. And this little part here is kind of like a preview of what the whole thing hopefully will look like. And you can see like this is sort of finished and shiny. This one over here, like the light doesn't really reflect on, but that one, wow, look at that. It's so smooth, it feels so nice. So now I just have to do this for all of this, and all the sides. 10 minutes of polishing, and look at that. Look at the back of this guitar. It feels amazing. It feels like a car. I guess it feels also like a guitar. Honestly, I didn't think this was going to work. After 3 or so hours, I think I'm done. Look how shiny that is. There's still some scratches and imperfections and stuff that I could probably have sanded out or finished out, but that's okay. In the neck pocket, I put a little thing that says I purchased this October 2001 and refinished it in March of 2022. And now as I plan to put the neck on it, fun thing is, I forgot I had done this. This Squier guitar, hello, has an Ibanez neck plate because this is my first guitar, but a month before I bought this, I bought my first electric string instrument, which was a bass from a pawn shop, and it was an Ibanez bass. And when I sold that, I switched the plates on these so I would have the piece of my first bass. So now that is why this Squier guitar, hello again, has an Ibanez neck plate. There we go, got an assembled guitar. I did a quick test, there's one string on it. First time it's had a string on it in almost 20 years. And here it is. This is the finished guitar. You see on the monitor there. It looks pretty good. There's definitely imperfections if you look up close, and this has actually now been probably a week and a half or 2 weeks since I totally finished everything, and it works and it actually sounds great. I will say though that there are a few areas, specifically around screws, where I screwed up a little bit and there are some cracks forming. I don't know if you can see those lines there. Those are cracks, and cracks are whack. But apparently what I've learned is with the kind of finish that I put on this, a nitrocellulose finish, that's kind of a common thing that happens. I'm not gonna try to fix it. It's just the way that the guitar is. It has some character, but I think it's really cool. It feels so bad that this was just in a bag for 20 years, but now it's here, it's working, it's gonna be with all my other guitars, and it actually sounds pretty cool. So, let's see. I can get some more traditional Fender Strat style sounds. Get some clean sounds. And of course, with this Hot Rails pickup I put in, I can get some pretty intense sounding distortion too. It's so shiny. So now this $90 guitar I think has like $400 worth of upgrades on it. It makes good economic sense.